Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome in. We may have a few people come in, but thank you all for joining us today. You could be anywhere in the world, but you are here with us. Glad to have seen everyone make it to 2023. You guys are amazing, and I know that we're going to have a really good time getting all your questions together and talking with an SBA professional. So glad to see all of you guys' excellent faces here today. So, let's get right into it. Thank you for coming to today's webinar called SBA Services for Veterans with our lovely speaker, Business Development Specialist and Veterans Business Development Officer of the US SBA, Ms. Caroline Henson. My name is Kamalia Blunt, and I am one of the WVE program coordinators here for the Women Platform at Morgan State University's Entrepreneurial Development and Assistance Center. Try saying that 5 times fast. So we'll be giving you this amazing presentation, and throughout this process, I'm going to be your humble Zoom host and facilitator. And before I give Caroline the virtual floor, I'm going to give you a few housekeeping tips. Today's session will be recorded and posted publicly on EDAC Morgan, which I've posted in the chat right now. The Q&A portion of our event, we're going to make it more of a conversation. So if you have a question as Caroline is going through the presentation, feel free to unmute yourselves and feel free to put it in the chat, which I will monitor, and we can just make this more of a dialogue so that way we won't have to wait till the end and your question can be addressed right fresh, right on the spot. And finally, while Caroline is presenting, please keep yourselves on mute so that way if there's any feedback happening, we've all gone through this, we've all experienced this, trust me, you know what I'm talking about. If there's feedback on the end from anybody else, it won't interfere with the recording, it won't interfere with the presentation. Other than that, I'm going to be silent. And Caroline, you have the floor.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And good afternoon, everyone. I want to go ahead and start by thanking you all for joining us today for this webinar about SBA's programs and services for veterans. Like Kamalia said, my name is Caroline Henson, and I am a business development specialist in the SBA Baltimore District office. And I also serve as the Veterans Business Development Officer for our office. And I also want to go ahead and thank Kamalia and her team for having me today. They're all amazing, and it is so great to be here with you all today. I'm so excited to get into everything and to answer any questions that you may have. We will be going through SBA's programs and services that are offered to veterans. We will be specifically discussing SBA resource partners. We're going to talk about entrepreneurship training programs that are offered specifically to veterans and women veterans. And we'll also be talking about funding opportunities and federal contracting certifications. So I'm going to go ahead and turn my camera off and get right into it. So next slide, please, Kamalia. So the SBA is a cabinet level agency. It was created in 1953, and it was created to aid, counsel, assist, and protect the interests of small business concerns. It was also created to preserve free competitive enterprise and really just to strengthen the overall economy of our nation. And the SBA Baltimore District office specifically serves the state of Maryland, excluding Montgomery County and Prince George's counties. So those 2 counties are actually served by the Washington Metropolitan Area District Office. And they also serve all of DC and then a few counties in Northern Virginia as well. Next slide, please. So veteran-owned small businesses really are a pillar of the US economy, and the number of veteran-owned businesses has actually risen over recent years, especially among minorities and women, despite a decline in the overall veteran population and a decline in veterans who are self-employed. Those are really important numbers to keep in mind. And it's also important to remember that veterans are more likely to own a business than civilians, and veteran entrepreneurs actually tend to out-earn civilian entrepreneurs. So let that just be a bit of inspiration from the get-go. Next slide, please. Excuse me. So SBA has an Office of Veteran Business Development, and it is devoted exclusively to promoting veteran entrepreneurship. So SBA programs provide counseling, training, access to capital, federal procurement opportunities, and disaster assistance. And these all come from SBA's OVBD. So it's good to know that you have a specific part of headquarters in your corner at all times. Next slide, please. So through working with the SBA, small business owners and entrepreneurs are really empowered to succeed. Like I've mentioned, we have valuable resources, we offer business trainings, we offer access to capital, we offer contracting assistance and certification programs. And throughout this presentation, I'm going to mention the business life cycle a few times. So I want you to ask yourself where you are currently and what you are looking to achieve going forward. So I would imagine that some of you are most likely in the beginning stages of your business's life cycle. So this will mean that you are currently planning and launching your business. Growth is another really popular stage, I would say. I imagine there's a lot of you who are also growing your businesses in the audience. So this will mean that you're doing the same thing that you've been doing and you're doing it bigger than before. Expansion is, a little more complicated. That will be using your current platform to develop other areas of business, which will actually in turn grow your current platform as well. And then I also want to mention that SBA assists businesses who are recovering from disasters. And this could be the COVID-19 pandemic. This could be a natural disaster like a hurricane or flooding or something like that. And we'll get into each of these things a little bit more as we go on. Next slide, please. All right, so the SBA's Resource Partner Network helps to extend our reach to serve the nation's small business community outside of our district offices. And the resource partners that we work with are approved and funded by the SBA through grants. And the counseling services that these resources provide are always free. We have a network of over 1,400 partner offices nationwide. And to put that into perspective, we have about 65 district offices across the US. So you can see that this network really does help to extend our reach and make sure that you're never far from the help that you need with your business. Next slide, please. So over the next couple of slides, I'm going to be telling you about our 4 resource partners. I'm sure you're familiar with at least one of them. These are going to be SCORE, the Small Business Development Centers, the Women's Business Centers, and the Veterans Business Outreach Centers. Next slide, please. So first, we're going to talk about SCORE. SCORE is the nation's largest network of volunteer business mentors. And these mentors are prior business owners and prior business executives who have the real world experience that you are looking to gain, especially if you are a new business owner. You can meet with SCORE mentors in person, you can meet virtually, you can meet over the phone, via email, really whatever works best for you works for them as well. And this resource partner offers one-on-one mentorship, but they also offer counseling, they offer online workshops and webinars, all sorts of different things. Next slide, please. So next we have the Small Business Development Centers. And the Small Business Development Center offers free business consulting and counseling for planning, launching, growing, and expanding your business. And they also offer free or low-cost training on all sorts of topics. So that would include regulatory compliance, that would include business plans, employee retention, marketing, exporting. The list really does go on and on. So this is kind of a one-stop shop for your business, no matter where you are in the business life cycle or what you're looking to get assistance with. And the consultants at the Small Business Development Center can also assist business owners with financing and federal contracting certification applications. So keep that in mind as we go through this presentation, because that will certainly come up again. Next slide, please. So next we of course have the Women's Business Centers, and the Women's Business Centers provide business advising services primarily to women business owners in their communities. And WBCs are committed to embracing women business owners and providing resources to enhance their business knowledge, as well as support their ingenuity for entrepreneurial growth. And WBCs provide business services, including training. They offer counseling, they offer technical assistance, they offer webinars, so many different things that they offer. Of course, you all know this is an incredible resource. Next slide, please. And then next, we also have the Veterans Business Outreach Centers, or we call this the VBOC for short. And VBOCs serve active duty service members. They serve National Guard or Reserve members, veterans of any era, and military spouses. So anyone in these groups can receive entrepreneurial training and referrals to other SBA resources at a Veterans Business Outreach Center. And the SBA's Office of Veterans Business Development that I mentioned right there at the very beginning actually oversees the VBOCs across the country. And there are currently 22 VBOCs in the US. So not every state has one, as you can imagine. We have an awesome VBOC that serves the Mid-Atlantic region, and their main office is located at the University of Maryland. And the Mid-Atlantic VBOC actually now has 3 locations in Maryland. They have, their University of Maryland location at College Park, but they also have one in Howard County as well as Harford County. So keep that in mind. Make sure to visit their website if you are unfamiliar with the programs and services that they offer, because this is a really incredible resource and it's great to just have it right in your own backyard. Next slide, please. So Boots to Business is actually an introduction to entrepreneurship course, and it is offered by SBA and the Veterans Business Outreach Center that we just mentioned. And it's offered on military installations around the world as a training track of DoD's TAP. We also have a program called Reboot, and Reboot extends the Boots to Business training that's offered in TAP to veterans of all eras, members of the Reserve and National Guard, and military spouses as well. So these courses introduce participants to the skills, knowledge, the resources that they will actually need to start a business right there at the very beginning. So you can see on the screen here, we have sbavets.force.com, and you can visit that website to see the calendar for these courses. And if there's an online Reboot course offered in a different area other than Maryland, please feel free to go ahead and register for that course. It is the same information, and it's a great way to get the ball rolling if you are in the very beginning of your entrepreneurial journey. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned previously, Boots to Business and Reboot offer the same exact curriculum. They are both comprised of 8 modules, and the only difference between these 2 courses is that Boots to Business is offered on the military installation as a training track of TAP, whereas Reboot is offered to veterans of any era, and it's not offered on the military installation. It's either going to be offered online or obviously in person at a different location than the military installation. So the 8 modules that comprise these programs are going to include Introduction to Business Ownership. They'll go over opportunity recognition, market research, economics of a startup, legal considerations, financing, business planning, and then resources that can support you after the course has ended. So Boots to Business typically happens over the course of 2 days. So you'll do the first 4 modules on one day, you'll do the second 4 modules on the second day. Whereas with Reboot, we do try to do all 8 modules in one day. So it will be a full 8-hour day, just because we know that people in that case are probably stepping away from their business or their 9-to-5 job or whatever it may be. So we just want to make it as easy as possible. Next slide, please. Now we have a couple of other follow along options once you have completed Boots to Business or Reboot. So first I'll mention revenue readiness. And once you have mastered the skills and the knowledge for developing a business concept, through the Boots to Business or Reboot course, you can actually elect to further your study through the Revenue Readiness online course. And this is a free 6-week virtual program that is delivered through a partnership with Mississippi State University. This program is virtual, pandemic or not, it is always virtual. And it's a great course that can prepare you to take your business idea from a concept to an executable business model. Something else that I want to mention are our 2 learning platforms on our website. This would include the SBA Learning Center and Ascent. And both of these learning platforms are online, they are free, and they offer on-demand courses that you can do at any time that suits you best. Ascent is actually specifically targeted for women business owners who want to scale and grow their existing business. I have the links for these pulled up and I'll put them in the chat once I'm done presenting. I do want to mention that if you are interested in revenue readiness, after you have finished the Boots to Business or Reboot course, you can go to the same website in which you registered for the Boots to Business or Reboot course. It's sbavets.force.com, and that is how you will sign up for a revenue readiness course. But again, I'll put the Ascent and SBA Learning Center link in the chat after I'm done presenting. Next slide, please. So next, we're going to talk about women veteran entrepreneurship training programs. So these are programs that provide entrepreneurial training to women veterans, women service members, and women spouses of service members and veterans as they start, grow, or expand a business. So SBA funds the Women Veteran Entrepreneurship Training Program through 3 grantees. And these grantees include the Institute for Veterans and Military Families, which it's their Veteran Women Igniting the Spirit of Entrepreneurship, or VWISE program. We also have Lift Fund, and then we also work with ONABEN. So starting with VWISE, VWISE was created to empower women veterans and military spouses to find their passion and to make sure that they're learning the business savvy skills that are necessary to turn an idea or a startup into a growing venture. So there are 3 phases to the VWISE program. Phase 1 includes a 15-day online intensive. Phase 2 includes a 3-day residency experience. And then phase 3 includes a 12-month ongoing support that is focused on business creation and growth to ensure that you are continuing your growth after the first 2 phases have ended. Next is Lift Fund, and Lift Fund's Women Veterans Entrepreneurship Training Program offers a multitude of in-person and online training opportunities, as well as one-on-one advising for women veterans aspiring to operate a small business, or maybe they're actively operating a small business. And then lastly is ONABEN. ONABEN works to empower Native peoples and minorities to encourage the growth of individual and community wealth building. And they do this through the creation of aspiring entrepreneurs and small businesses. They also help create financial empowerment initiatives, and they also create organizational development and community asset building. So they have a program called Beyond the Boots, and this is a program for veteran service members and for women spouses as well. The initiative offers a unique set of tools and services to encourage and enhance the ability of veteran and service members when reaching their entrepreneurial goals. So 3 really awesome programs here. I feel like these tools are not utilized as often as they should be. So please check these programs out if you are interested in going through an entrepreneurial training program. Next slide, please. So we also have some programs for service disabled veterans, and these entrepreneurship training programs are specific to SDVOSBs who aspire to be small business owners, or maybe they currently own a small business. By the way, SDVOSB stands for Service Disabled Veteran-Owned Small Business. I'll reference that a few times as we go forward. VOSB references a veteran-owned small business. So these programs are specific to SDVOSBs. Like the Women Entrepreneurship Training Program, SBA funds these entrepreneurship training programs for service disabled veterans through 4 grantees. So we have the Entrepreneurship Bootcamp for Veterans with Disabilities, which is through Syracuse University's Institute for Veterans and Military Families. We also have the Veterans Entrepreneurship Program, which is through Oklahoma State University. We have the Entrepreneurship Bootcamp for Veterans, which is through St. Joseph's University in Philadelphia. And then lastly, we have the Dog Tag Inc., which is located in DC. Next slide, please.
Excuse me. And I hear that we can kind of jump in, Camilla.
Oh yeah, please, please.
Okay. All right. You know what? I looked away from the screen and I see it now. All right, ma'am. I see you got it. I see you got it.
Excellent. Also, if anyone has questions, I love it when people jump in so we can make it more of a conversation. So please feel free to do so as we go
One in the
forward.
chat
Oh,
about
perfect.
how do we sign up for the certifications?
So if you're looking, I'll go over certifications here in just a minute. It'll actually be at the end of the presentation, so in about 20 minutes, but we'll be talking all about those. So hold the certification questions for a moment, if you don't mind, and we will definitely be diving into the nitty-gritty there. Any other questions in the chat at this time?
I think you're good. Lori, did you still have a question? I still see your hand up. Just want to make sure. Okay.
Okay,
You're good
cool.
to go.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for asking your questions, everyone. I really do like it when you all are engaged.
Now you got another one.
Oh, perfect. What is it?
Says if you have more than one business, are we allowed to participate in these programs?
Absolutely. So this will be on a participant by participant basis. If you have more than one business, certainly feel free to participate and to sign up for these programs.
Right. You're clear now.
Thank you. So the last training program we're going to go over is the Veteran Federal Procurement Entrepreneurship Training Program. And this program delivers entrepreneurship training to VOSB and SDVOSBs nationwide who are interested in pursuing, or maybe they're already engaged in, federal procurement. So the Veteran Institute for Procurement, or VIP, is the sole grantee for this program. And trust me, one is enough with this program because they are so incredible. This is a national training center that offers a 3-day, 27-hour in-residence program in Maryland for veteran CEOs across the country. So participants have the opportunity to learn from industry and government experts. And the best part is that VIP is offered at no cost to participants. So combined with the fact that it is in Maryland for everyone across the country and it is completely free, I would say if you're interested in federal contracting, or if you are already engaged and you're looking to take your business to the next level with federal contracting, you need to get on the wait list for this program as soon as you can. It's such a great group that puts on these trainings. They have incredible experts, but they also will have you create a cohort that you can continue to network with and work with for the remainder of your business's life cycle. So it's very invaluable information. And again, it's free. They currently offer 5 programs. So that would be VIP Start. They offer VIP Grow, VIP Advance, VIP International, and VIP Aerospace. Next slide, please. Access to capital. So I'm sure that many people on this. Oh, perfect. Jump on in.
Is there a waiver for the 2-year in business requirement?
For the for VIP?
Victoria, is it for VIP? She might be typing. Yes.
Okay. So I don't believe there is. You'll have to actually recommend, excuse me, you'll actually have to reach out to VIP directly for that kind of information. If there is a waiver, I'm not aware of it, but there certainly could be. So I do just recommend reaching out to them directly and seeing if that would be possible.
All right.
I have a comment.
Go ahead.
This is Lori Sales. They started VIP Start, and with that one, that is for startups in the federal government procurement area.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions?
Don't see a hand raised and nothing in the chat so far, so you're all good, ma'am.
Sounds good. Keep them coming. So like I said, I think a lot of people are probably interested in funding opportunities. People usually are when we have these types of events. So SBA has a few different loan programs that we're going to go through. And these loan programs are designed for the unique needs of small businesses. This can mean a lot of different things. This will include lower repayment terms, lower payments, and also includes no early payoff penalties. That really does give you the flexibility that you need to cultivate your business while meeting your current financial obligations. You can start, grow, or expand your business with loans guaranteed by the SBA. So these loan guarantees mean that in the hopefully extremely unlikely instance that a borrower defaults on their loan, the SBA will repay the lender and the borrower will then owe the SBA, not the lender. So this is extremely helpful for business owners who cannot get traditional financing because the bank finds it much less risky to loan money to a borrower that is backed by the SBA because the lender knows that they're going to get repaid either way. So it really is a win-win for everyone. We're going to talk about 3 different types of loans across the next few slides. That will include microloans, 7A loans, and 504 loans. Before we get into it, just want to mention that to apply for any SBA loan, you will need to have a thorough and detailed business plan. And you will be applying directly to the SBA lender of your choosing. And we also are going to go over lenders. Last thing is that each lender has its own lending and credit requirements, and the interest rates and repayment terms will vary from lender to lender. Those are a few common questions that we get, so I just like to get that out of the way up front. Next slide, please. So the first loan that I'm going to go through is the microloan. So these are smaller size loans. They go up to $50,000, and they are provided through SBA funding intermediaries called microlenders. There are no minimum credit score requirements for microloans. So microlenders really want to look at the big picture. They want to see where you are currently, where you are headed in the future. And that being said, microlenders will heavily rely on your business plan when evaluating your application. If you need assistance with your business plan, you can always contact one of those 4 resource partners that I mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, and all 4 of them can help you with your business plan. You want to make sure your business plan is really solid before applying for a microloan. These loans can be used for a variety of purposes, especially if you're looking for startup capital. I know a lot of businesses struggle to find startup capital. So a few examples of microloan use of funds would include working capital. You can use it for inventory, supplies, furniture, fixtures, machinery. You can use it for equipment, and several other uses as well. Next slide, please. So the second type of loan that I'm going to be talking about is the 7A loan. And the 7A loan is SBA's most common loan program. The maximum loan amount for a 7A loan is $5.5 million. And these loans can be used for nearly any business purpose. That would include short and long-term working capital. You can use it to refinance existing business debt. You can use it to purchase real estate, and that would include land and buildings. You can also use it to purchase equipment or machinery, furniture, fixtures, supplies, materials. You can even use it to purchase a small business. So it really is extremely versatile. And that is what makes it so popular. And the great part about this loan is that you can actually combine all of those purposes into one big loan, should you desire. You can't do that with a lot of our other loan programs, but you definitely can with this one. So let's say you're looking to purchase a piece of real estate and you need to have a little bit of working capital. Both can be done under one loan. And that does differ from the next program we're going to talk about, which would be the 504 loan program. 504 loan program provides long-term fixed rate financing up to $5.5 million for major fixed assets that promote business growth and job creation. So 504 loans are available through CDCs, or certified development companies, and CDCs are SBA's community-based partners who regulate nonprofits and promote economic development within their communities. So we have 3 CDCs here in Maryland. 504 loans can be used for really specific purposes. Like I mentioned, it cannot be used in the same way as an SBA 7A loan. These loans need to be used specifically for the purchase or construction of existing buildings or land, be used for new facilities, long-term machinery and equipment, can also be used for the renovation of existing facilities or the improvement of land, streets, utilities, parking lots, landscaping, something like that. It cannot be used for working capital or inventory, and it cannot be used to consolidate, repay, or refinance existing debt. Lastly, it cannot be used for investment in rental real estate. So that is where it really differs from the 7A loan. Next slide, please. So lastly, we're going to talk about a few things that are specific to veterans when it comes to access to capital. Firstly, the SBA Express loan is a loan that is in the same umbrella as the 7A loan program. And as of October 1st, 2021, the SBA Express loan maximum was increased to $500,000, and all upfront guarantee fees have been permanently reduced to 0 to loans made to veteran-owned small businesses. That's absolutely amazing. Again, that is going to be under the 7A loan program umbrella. Additionally, if you have an essential employee who is a military reservist and they are called to active duty, SBA provides loans to help the small business with operating expenses. So this would be called, this is a long name, so get ready here. It's the Military Reservist Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. And it provides loans up to $2 million to cover operating costs that cannot be met once the military reservist is called to active duty. I'll mention this again in a few slides, but I just wanted to go ahead and mention that that is something we offer. And I think it's something really unique that we offer. But again, we'll talk about that again here in a second. Next slide, please. So next, we're going to talk about lenders. With all of our business loan programs, you will apply directly to an SBA lender, and a business plan is required. I cannot stress that enough. The business plan is required, I will say, to be taken seriously. There's, of course, other information that you need to submit with your application, but the business plan is quite possibly the most important. Lender Match is a tool that we have on our website, and it can help you connect with SBA approved lenders who may specialize in your industry or your type of project. So this is a questionnaire that you will fill out, and Lender Match will yield results to your email in 48 hours. Be aware that this is not the actual loan application. People sometimes assume this, but this tool is simply connecting you with lenders in your area. So you will first fill out the questionnaire, and then interested lenders will be in touch with you via email. So you'll want to speak with the lender after they're in touch with you. And then, very last, you'll be submitting your business plan and your loan package directly to the lender to actually apply for the loan. And that tool is on our website. You can see it on the screen there. It's sba.gov/lendermatch. Next slide, please. So unfortunately, disaster does happen. And oftentimes this means that a monetary toll is taken on a business, unfortunately. So when a disaster strikes, the SBA is there for you. We have affordable and accessible loans that can just help you get back on track. And a disaster can be several different things. It can be a natural disaster. It could be the COVID-19 pandemic. For example, at this moment, we are currently offering disaster loans to tornado victims in Georgia and Alabama. And just last year, I believe it was, SBA was set up and ready to assist folks who were affected by Hurricane Ida in multiple states across the US, including certain areas of Maryland, just days after the disaster occurred. SBA, on the other side of things, also offered economic injury disaster loans in 2020 and 2021 to businesses who were experiencing a temporary loss in revenue due to the pandemic. Like I mentioned previously, under this disaster umbrella is where the Military Reservist Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program falls. And again, this program provides loans up to $2 million to cover operating costs that cannot be met once a reservist is called to active duty. So the way that you would apply for any disaster program, including the Military Reservist Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, is by going to our website, and you will actually see at the tab at the top, it says loans. You'll click that and it will lead you directly to the disaster portal, and you will apply directly to the SBA for this loan. This is the only type of loan in which you apply to the SBA. Next slide, please. So next, we're going to go over federal contracting. I think a lot of people are interested in federal contracting, and it really can be a tremendous financial opportunity for small businesses. The US federal government is actually the world's largest customer. They purchase all sorts of products and services. And the SBA works with federal agencies to award at least 23% of all prime government contracting dollars each year to small businesses. Next slide, please. So SBA certification programs ensure that the process of awarding contracts is taking place on a level playing field, and that the government is considering a bid from any qualified business. So we have 4 certification programs. This would include the 8A Business Development Program for small disadvantaged businesses. We also have the Hub Zone program, which is for small businesses located and operating in historically underutilized business zones. We have the Women-Owned Small Business program, and we also have the Service Disabled Veteran-Owned Small Business program. I actually forgot to update this slide, everyone. I'm so sorry. It is now called the Veterans Small Business Certification Program, or VetCert program for short. And again, we'll be getting into each of these programs in detail in just a moment. I just want to mention that these programs have contracts that are set aside exclusively for small businesses who have any of these certifications. And each of these programs are standalone programs. So that means that you can be certified in as many programs as you are eligible for. And I highly recommend you do so if you have the capacity and you are eligible for more than one of these programs. Next slide, please. So first is the 8A Business Development Program. And the federal government's goal here is to award at least 5% of all federal contracting dollars to small disadvantaged businesses each year. So businesses in the 8A program can efficiently compete for and receive set-aside and sole source contracts. They can also receive one-on-one business development assistance from an SBA business opportunity specialist who is focused on helping firms grow and accomplish their business objectives. They can also pursue opportunity for mentorship from experienced and technically capable firms through the SBA Mentor Protege program. And then lastly, they can also pursue joint ventures with established businesses to increase their capacity on performing on contracts. So to qualify for this program, the business must be a small business by SBA size standards. And that size standards tool can be found on our website or at sba.gov/size-standards. You must also not have previously participated in the 8A program. So you can only participate in this program one time in your business's life cycle, and that certification lasts for 9 years. So most businesses choose to participate in this program once they have experience in federal contracting and can really take full advantage of all that this program has to offer. It is less commonly used to get a business's foot in the door with contracting. And for that reason, we do like for businesses to have been in business for at least 2 years and have some experience performing on federal contracts.
You have a
Another oh, go ahead.
Has the rule changed that you can only have one business in order to participate in the 8A program?
That rule has not changed. So if you are, well, I'm not going to say the rule has not changed. The main thing to note is that if one of your businesses has been in the 8A program previously, that business can never be in the 8A program again. And same with the other business, of course. Does that make sense?
Are you good on that, Rosalind?
Yes, good morning. Yes, I think so. I've always stayed away from SBA opportunities because of that rule. And so I've never been in the 8A program at all for either business, they're still small businesses. One is a little bit more lucrative than the other. But I really would love to be a part of the 8A, some 8A program. And that's why I was asking, I thought I would never be eligible to participate in an 8A program because I do have 2 small businesses.
Go ahead and send me an email. My email is at the end of this slide deck. And if you send me an email, I'll look into the rule for you. And we'll also see if, that's the case for other SBA programs as well. That's not a very common situation. So just go ahead and send me an email and we'll work through it.
Okay, thank you so much.
No problem.
All right. And Lori has her hand up.
Yes, I'm a little experienced in this game. I'm sitting in because I'm determined to support my sisters. But nonetheless, I am an 8A. I have 3 years left. And I'm also woman-owned, economically disadvantaged woman-owned, and the SDBOSB, all verified through the government. The one thing I want to add is really not about how many businesses you have, ma'am. It's more about you individually. You individually, independently, can only be in the 8A program once. Because the 8A program is catering to the individual being considered disadvantaged, socially, economically disadvantaged, being a minority, not your business. Your business is, of course, not the minority. It's you as the owner. And it's a threshold of money. And that's where the SBA rep will be able to definitely assist you depending on how much money you got, whether or not you're still considered disadvantaged, because there is a threshold for it. That's my thoughts on that. For you, as you move forward, definitely take advantage of it if you're not at that threshold. And better yet, don't take advantage of it until you have relationships. I don't care how many years you've been in business.
Absolutely.
I really don't care
that is great advice.
I don't care how many years you've been. If you don't have federal government people calling out your name and talking to you when you walk up in the room, don't nobody know you. And the federal government do business with folks they know, like, and trust. And you being the 8A don't mean nothing. And for 20 years, working with the state, okay, you just a brand new 8A and you stepping in the door of the federal government of HHS saying, I've just been awarded the 8A and I like to have an opportunity. And they're gonna know not to talk to you no more the next time you come back when you get it right. So that would be my 2 cents on that. And thanks for letting me share.
Lori, thank you so much for adding that. I think that was beautifully said. And you mentioned a really, really good point. You do want to have contracting experience before being in this program because you only have 9 years within this program. You don't want to be trying to get your contracts for the first time ever because you have this 8A certification. These contracts will not just fall into your lap and they will not just be handed to you or assigned to you. You still have to put in all of the legwork. So you want to make sure you know how to do that. You will just simply have the ability to then compete for the set aside programs or to be awarded sole source programs. Set aside contracts or be awarded the sole source contracts. But it is really important to note, like Lori said, that you want to have experience. I think that is such a common misconception on this program.
And don't miss the word relationships.
Absolutely. Attend
Um,
industry days, get in contact with the
Yes.
OSDBU small business
Thank you.
liaisons when you can. You can find those on any agency's sam.gov listing or on their websites. By the way, OSDBU is OSDBU, Office of Small Disadvantaged Business Utilization. But you want to have those relationships built so that you can successfully get these contracts. You can't even perform on them if you don't have them yet. So again, thank you, Lori. That is such an important note. So the other two qualifications for this program is that the business must be at least 51% owned and controlled by US citizens who are socially and economically disadvantaged. And then business owners must demonstrate good character and, like we were saying, potential to perform on contracts. Next slide, please. So next we have the Hub Zone program. This is a program that fuels small business growth in historically underutilized business zones with the goal of awarding at least 3% of federal contracting dollars to Hub Zone certified companies each year. So joining this program will make your business eligible to compete for the program's set aside contracts. And Hub Zone certified businesses also get a 10% price evaluation preference in full and open contract competitions. To qualify for the Hub Zone program, you must be a small business. You must be at least 51% owned and controlled by US citizens. The principal office must be located in a Hub Zone, which I'll put that map in the chat after this as well. And then you must have at least 35% of your employees living in a Hub Zone. It does not have to be the same Hub Zone as all of the other employees. It does not have to be the same Hub Zone as the principal office, but it does have to be a Hub Zone. That is extremely important. Next slide, please. So next we have the Women-Owned Small Business Program, or the WSB program. Excuse me. And the federal government's goal here is to award at least 5% of all federal contracting dollars to women-owned small businesses each year. And to help provide a level playing field for women business owners, the government limits competition for certain contracts to businesses that participate in this program. So this program accepts NAICS codes that are for industries in which women-owned small businesses are inadequately represented, and 445 NAICS codes are accepted in this program, which is quite a lot. So certainly check out this program if you think that that would be you and you would qualify for this program. To be eligible for this program, you must be a small business. You must be at least 51% owned and controlled by women who are US citizens. And you must have women managing the day-to-day operations and making long-term decisions for the business. So this means that if the business owner is traveling internationally, let's say like 300 days of the year, it is unlikely that she is managing the day-to-day operations of the business. And I mean, it's possible, but it is unlikely. And the SBA really wants to see that she is highly involved in managing and controlling this business. Next slide, please.
You have a question and it
Oh,
says,
perfect.
are the certifications only recognized and are only beneficial for procurement?
So they are mostly beneficial for procurement. They will be recognized for, you can put it on your email signature. You can say that your business is officially woman-owned. But I would say that these programs are created with the intention of helping certain groups compete in the federal marketplace. If you are not interested in procurement and you qualify for one of these programs, let's say your business is woman-owned, you can go ahead and just self-certify that you are a woman-owned small business, or you can just, announce it. There is no certification necessary for that kind of thing. These really are most helpful in the procurement field.
Gotcha. And two more questions came in. One is, where do you apply?
So, sorry, I should have mentioned that. If you go back to slides, I want to say.
Sure.
Thank you. One more. Thank you. So for the 8A program, you'll be applying at certify.sba.gov. You can see it there at the bottom of the screen. My apologies for not mentioning it previously. And if you can go to the next slide, with the Hub Zone program, you will apply at certify.sba.gov as well. Next slide. Thank you. For the Women-Owned Small Business program, you will apply at beta.certify.sba.gov. And then next slide. I didn't include it here because this is a brand new program. This program you can apply at veterans.certify.sba.gov. It's kind of comical how many versions there are of this certify.sba.gov. I'll put that link in the chat as well. This program, let's go through it really quick. First and foremost, the federal government aims to award at least 3% of all federal contracting dollars to service-disabled veteran-owned small businesses each year. And the Veteran Small Business Certification Program, or the VET CERT program, gives SCVOSBs the opportunity to compete for sole source and set aside contracts across the federal government. So this program also allows SCVOSBs and VOSBs to compete for sole source and set aside contracts from the VA. Now it's worth noting that VOSBs can only compete for set aside contracts from the VA, whereas SDVOSBs have the opportunity to compete for set aside contracts across all agencies. That is a huge difference here. In both cases, you would apply in the same way through veterans.certify.sba.gov. So to qualify for this program, your business must be small. It must be at least 51% owned and controlled by one or more veterans, must have one or more veterans managing the day-to-day operations and making long-term decisions. So this would be similar to the WSB program. And then eligible veterans must have a service-connected disability to be certified as SDVOSB. So a quick note on this program. Prior to January 1st of this year, I'm sure many of you are aware that the VA was responsible for the verification of VOSBs and SDVOSBs. However, as of the 1st of this year, this certification responsibility has been transferred to the SBA. So this transfer provides veterans with a central support for their small business certification needs, as the SBA obviously houses the other 3 small business certification programs. So we are just trying to make things a bit easier since we do already have that information in our system. That being said, if you are already certified as an 8A business or as a women-owned small business, and you are looking to apply for this program, you actually will not have to submit the documentation again. That information and documentation will just be transferred since you are already certified in those programs, which is very convenient and was not possible when the certification was with the VA. So I'm going to go through just a couple of scenarios really quickly. I know we're running short on time and I want to make sure we can answer some more questions. If you're, oh, sorry, go ahead.
You're good. Does the SBA offer peer-to-peer matchmaking program for federal contractors?
We do not offer peer-to-peer matchmaking. What we do offer is assistance. I'll be going through that on the next slide for how you can better market your business to the federal government through a resource. However, we do not provide that personally. Similarly, if you're interested in the mentor protege program and you are trying to be a protege, you're looking for a mentor, we do not provide matchmaking services for that either. You are responsible for finding that match.
All right.
Any other questions?
You're all clear. Perfect.
So a few different scenarios with the veteran small business certification. Let's say your business was verified by the VA as of the 1st of this year. In that case, you are automatically grandfathered into the SBA's VET CERT program, and you actually will receive a 1-year certification extension, meaning that your business will be certified for 3 years. And excuse me, sorry. I'm going to say that again because I want to be as clear as possible. Your business will be certified for 4 years instead of the standard 3 years, just this one time. So typically, A business who is certified as veteran owned will be certified for 3 years before their recertification comes up. However, in this specific circumstance and only for this year, you will have a 4th year because we are just trying to make sure we can approve as many new applications as possible. Another scenario, let's say your business is currently self-certified. The recommended next step would be to file an application for the SBA Vet Cert program as soon as you can. But also important to note is that your self-certification will be granted a 1-year grace period until January 1st, 2024. Self-certification is going away over time, but it is not going away until January 1st, 2024. So during that grace period, you should apply for the Vet Cert program so that you will have access to those set-aside contracts come 2024. But you can also continue to rely on your self-certification and compete for non-VA set-aside contracts. That's very important. Last one, let's say you were not verified or self-certified prior to the 1st of this year. In that case, very simple, you should go ahead and just apply through SBA's Vet Cert portal. So again, you can apply for this program at veterans.certify.sba.gov. And you can also contact the SBA Vet Cert support team. I'm going to give the phone number right now, so get ready to write if you have a writing utensil or a keyboard. The number is 800-862-8088. And I saw someone put that in the chat. Thank you so much for doing so. Lastly, if you would like to learn more about this, or if I've kind of said something about this program specifically and you need to know more about it, I am hosting a webinar on February 2nd at 10 a.m. You can just send me an email after this session and I'll send you a registration link. It's free, but it is only discussing the Vet Cert program and the transfer from the VA to the SBA. There will be no other programs discussed like we did in this one. So I just wanted to mention that because it's a hot topic right now since this transfer just took place less than a month ago. Next slide, please. Sorry, this is my last slide. I know I'm going over here a little bit. If you're interested in expanding with government contracting, please make sure you reach out to a Procurement Technical Assistance Center. We call these PTAC for short, and these centers provide in-person or virtual counseling. And they also provide training services to any business who wants to sell their products and services to the government. And that can be local, state, or federal governments. They can help you identify and win government contracts. They can help you with marketing, your capability statement, your SAM.gov profile. The list really does go on and on. So certainly check out the PTAC if you're interested in government contracting. And then this very next slide is my contact information. I'll leave this up while we go through Q&A. I know I gave you a ton of information and that I kind of went over there a little bit, but I wanted to open up the floor for any other questions that people may have. So feel free to unmute yourself, or Kamali, if there's anything in the chat, please feel free to let me know.
All right. First, thank you so much. We're actually going to get right into it. If you guys have to hop off, I mean, feel free to. Caroline, if you don't mind, if you want to stay on like 5 minutes long, you got at least
Absolutely.
2 questions in the chat. I'm sure someone has burning questions. So we'll just get right into it. You know I love you, and you know you're incredibly thanked, and we definitely love your presence here. And thank you, Lori, for the note that PTACs are now Apex Accelerators. They've changed their name. So your first question that we got was, if I am a service disabled, veteran-owned small business, do I have to start over for the SBA WOSB?
So at the moment, unfortunately, yes, you would. At the moment, the situation is that if you are WOSB certified, your documentation will automatically transfer to the Vet Cert portal. However, it cannot go the other way. So if you are Vet Cert certified, then you will unfortunately not be able to just go ahead and get your WOSB certification. That is not the way it works at the moment. Hopefully that will be the case going forward though.
All righty. Your next question, when applying for some of the certifications, they ask for several years of taxes for their business. I just started my business in December 2022. Does that mean I must wait before I apply?
Not necessarily. What I recommend doing is always reaching out to the support team. You can send me an email directly and I will send you who that contact would be. In certain cases, they can request different documentation.
All righty. She said, thank